All right, good day, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another Live the Fuel show. So this evening, catching up with another new guest co-host for you all to share the mics for your fellow healthy, business-loving, hopefully healthy lifestyle balancing listening ears. So today we're going to geek out on something. For those of you who listen to the show for a long time, I started supplementing a few years back with something called glutathione. And I only knew about it because way back I aired an episode with shout out to Dr. Anthony J. He was super, super fun. One of my early health nut influencers since he actually like reads DNA for a living. And I'm like, I can't read that for the life of me. But there's others out there doing the same thing. And there's others out there playing around with that actual supplement, if you will, glutathione. And I'm taking it to this day. And we're going to have some fun with this. So today's guest co-host, you could say he might be a sought after pharmacist because he's actually aired on some big buzzword fellow biohacking geeky people like myself. And I'll let him name drop him when we start having fun on the show here. But pharmacist, wellness expert. I'm going to go ahead and dug through his background. Definitely a leader on thought, and especially around this whole refocus on health, which I've always been an example of and a preacher of. So he's done some work. They've done some patent pending or might be already patented drug and nutritional research, if you will, into improving people's regimes. And I've never heard of this version of glutathione. I've always ingested it, but apparently you can go topical. So anyway, this guy's talked to CEOs and physicians like himself, and there's a lot more going on around this glutathione revolution. So that's why I brought him on today to dig in. So without further ado, Dr. NAYAN PATEL, sir, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me today. Appreciate the time.
So again, we were just name dropping before we hit record. Brecca, Asprey. I mean, those are some good names to throw around. They're still pretty hot out there. So, but let's jump into this. You've been a pharmacist for how long? The 90s?
96. So
96. Okay.
30 years close to next year.
Yeah, we're getting older.
Yes,
well, I can't, I'm not going to guess your age, but at least 96, I was an engineering major at Penn State. So, I don't know, that's all I got.
Yes.
You're busy being a pharmacist. So I love it. So going that far back and then obviously fast forwarding, diving into disease, right? Diving into aging, diving into, well, a lot of us want to increase our energy. For me, I was geeking into the element of glutathione around detoxification, right? Aiding that process. Mm-hmm. I'm definitely a health geek. I'm definitely a biohacker. If you ever heard of Dr. Jack Cruz on the mitochondria subject, he likes to call his followers. I had him on the show years ago, probably still the most viral downloaded episode to this day. Maybe we can change that with you. But Dr. Jack Cruz quoted the mitohackers. He goes, oh, biohacking, that's entry level. He goes, when you're ready to level up, he's like, we'll teach you how to become a mitohacker. And I'm like, what is that? He goes, hacking the mitochondria at the cellular level. And I'm like, do tell. So we had a lot of fun years ago on that episode as well. But so let's dive in, man. Glutathione. When did you start geeking out about that? Was that in the beginning or did you stumble across that?
It was not right in the beginning, but it was about 4 years later into my career. But
okay,
if you think the mitohacking is geeking out, what is the mitochondria producing, which is the most powerful ingredient in your human body?
I don't know. I like to call it energy. They're nicknamed the power plants of the cell, but with ATP. Energy, you have a byproduct, you have waste. So,
well, it's ATP, but the real product is glutathione. That is the key of this whole element, right? It's like, I'm not saying that breathing is bad for you or is not good for you, but everyone needs oxygen. So please breathe. Otherwise, if you don't breathe for 4 or 5 minutes, you'll be dead. Same thing with water. Yeah, nothing wrong with water. You just gotta drink it, right? If you don't drink it for X number of days, you're gonna die.
Sure.
And so the third most important thing after air and water is glutathione. It is the life force of human body, period.
Okay.
And what it does, so that the thing is, the glutathione was, when I first graduated from pharmacy school, it was one of those things that you've been taught, now you're ready to go save the world. And I thought I was going to save the world. I really quickly realized this is 97, that all we were doing is managing people's medication problems. We were not going to solve any problems whatsoever. And when the first time you come outside your house, outside your room, outside your security blanket of the institution, and you come in the open world, and he goes, wait a second, I'm supposed to not cure any problem. Just supposed to manage people's problems. Well, yeah, don't you? That's why you have a security for the rest of your life of making money.
Yeah.
I said, whoa, that was a big wake up for me. I said, there has to be something else. But I had loans and I had to pay bills. And I said, you know what? Let me
Oh,
go with the rat
your
race.
education's not cheap, Doc. I mean,
Nope, not cheap. So,
I my
yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do to just survive. But I got my first break in 1999. A doctor came to me. He had a technology called liposome technology. He was making some pharmaceutical drugs with it. And he comes to me and said, hey,
liposomal.
liposomal,
Yeah.
right? He comes to me and said, hey, can you make some liposomal nutraceutical vitamins for me? I said, why? What? I said, when you're young and stupid, of course, the first one says, yes, of course I can make it. I had no idea how to do it, first of all. But you're young and stupid. You
That's a
always
secret
think,
of entrepreneurship. Sometimes you just got to say yes and then figure it out.
exactly. So I said, yes, I can definitely make it. I had no idea how to do it. But I quickly realized that it was not that hard to do it. I had some knowledge behind it, but I've never done it before. So we made the liposome vitamin C. We made some liposomal CoQ10, PQQ, astaxanthin, and glutathione was one of the first few products I made ever in my life in nutraceuticals. And the doctor was happy. Right away, he spinned off the products and sold to a bunch of companies, and those companies are still flourishing even today's date.
Mm,
It's just crazy how much money they're making. But one thing that did not work was liposomal glutathione,
okay.
and it did not work on me. I said, wait a second, I was getting results, but not getting results for
On
everybody.
you
So,
personally.
well, not for all my patients. I was
Oh, okay.
young.
Okay.
I thought I was invincible at that time. I had no diseases, so I was
As we all. Yeah.
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 So I was giving to my patients, and my patients, it was working, it was not working. So I couldn't tell who's going to work and who's not going to work. And so I said, that's not a good deal for me. I understand the vitamin C and things like that because my body doesn't produce it, so the results are going to be sporadic. I understand that portion. But the
Mm,
glutathione is something that is produced endogenously. If we give them glutathione, everybody, if it's absorbed and it's there, everybody should get the results. No, didn't happen. I said, okay. The next best thing I knew was, guess what? Intravenous glutathione.
mm.
That's the only way I can get inside your
Which
body. I
I've
know it.
had. I've had all forms. My chiropractor does she sells it in liquid. So that's
Uh-huh.
how she delivers it. But when you're traveling, and like I travel a lot, business and
Uh-huh.
everything else, it's like, okay, is that really that fun for travel
Yes.
purposes? That's why I decided to try the liposomal form. But then obviously topical, and then there's the then I was being told the same thing where it's like, well, you don't know until you try it. I'm like, what do you mean? Well, people are going to metabolize things differently. So I had a former marketing client that created his own vitamins after a few years because he needed B12. And
Uh-huh.
because the way his intestinal tract was, he was one of that rare percentage of the population that you could eat a steak and you get plenty of B12 from that, but it was not being processed in his intestinal tract. He had a genetic marker for that. So it's very interesting. Yeah.
So the
So he ended up going sublingual on that formulation. So
that probably works better too for some
yeah,
people.
yeah,
But again, for my pharmacist brain, I need guarantees. I want to make sure that it gets inside your body. Whether or not it doesn't do anything for you, that's not my concern. My concern is if it needs to be there at this location, can I get there?
okay,
Like if you have to be in Las Vegas for some reason for an event, just take this plane, you'll go someplace.
yeah,
No, no, no. I have to be in Las Vegas. That's where I'm supposed to be at.
yeah,
I can't just take any plane. I want to take the plane that goes straight to Las Vegas. If it's not going there, I don't want to sit on the plane.
hmm,
So keep in mind, we put people in the plane not knowing where it's going to go. We put stuff in the mouth and not knowing where the hell it's going to end up,
true.
right? All the time. And
We have
so
hopes.
we have hopes. We have high hopes that it's going to do something. Or the body, we assume the body knows what it's supposed to do with it, right?
Mm,
We think it's a magical system that we have inside our body, but the reality is that I need to have target response. IV was my next best choice. Is if I can do IVs, I'll do all the work. I made the first injectable glutathione IVs, and of course, I found a huge market in 2001. We started selling into Las Vegas for those
oh yeah.
hangover patients. Oh my God.
That's
You
where
can,
that's how I found out about IV therapy
yeah,
was everybody joked around like, well, when you're in Vegas, that's how you keep going. I'm like, what do you mean keep going? Like, well, when you partied it all night, you can call the front desk, they call in a nurse or whatever, a phlebotomist who's
exactly.
training that, boom, jack you up, throw a bag on, you're ready to go for another 24 hours. And I'm like, Doesn't sound that healthy, but I guess that's better than
It's not
nothing.
healthy. But
Oh,
that's exactly what I started. But this was almost 25 years ago. At
wow.
that time, there was nobody in Vegas doing this kind of, forget Vegas, nobody in the world was doing this kind of work.
Yeah.
And so we started this process very early on. And the reason we went to Vegas, the doctor that was working with went to Vegas, is because they knew the life of the glutathione inside your body was only very short,
Hmm.
5 to 15 minutes. That's it.
Really?
That's
Okay.
it. And so then I did not know until that time. So I started looking at the research, and I figured out that 1991 there was a study done. It's published in the NIH now on the PubMed, so it's all over the place. That they gave 2 grams of IV push of glutathione. 100% of the glutathione was in the urine in 5 to 15 minutes.
Wow. So that's being metabolized very quickly, but not being absorbed.
Nope, it's not getting metabolized at all.
Oh, yeah,
What it's
okay.
doing is getting filtered because it stays in the plasma only, never enters the blood cells. It
Interesting.
stays in the plasma only, and the plasma gets filtered by the kidneys every 5 to 15 minutes, and everything was in the kidney in that short amount of time. But what they saw was, well, the thing is, if you've done IV glutathione, it works. It does work.
Sure.
So the question is how and why? Because if I know the how and the why, I can reciprocate the results over and over again.
Hmm.
What the studies found out that about an hour and a half or 2 hours later, they saw a rise in the blood of cysteine. Where did the cysteine come from? We just gave glutathione.
Yeah.
That's when you realize that the glutathione is made up of 3 amino acids: glycine, glutamine, and cysteine. The
Hmm.
body is actually breaking down those 3 amino acids into this peptide into 3 amino acids. Cysteine was getting reabsorbed.
Hmm.
Cysteine was later used to produce its own glutathione endogenously. And
Oh.
6 hours later, we saw a rise of glutathione in your blood. Whoa.
So it was taking a segment of the process and then triggering the natural production, which is what we want. We do produce our own glutathione, but do we produce enough as we age? Right? I think we now have enough science showing that there is a diminished return as we're aging.
Exactly.
Correct? Yeah.
Well, if that was true, guess what? Just like NAC, it's
Hmm.
just like cysteine, and you get the same results. Why go through the process of taking this shot of glutathione when the body's going to break it down any within 5 to 15 minutes,
Right.
right?
Yeah, I agree.
And
Why?
so then you look back in the history. Wait a second, FDA has approved cysteine as a drug to improve glutathione levels in your body. Even
Hmm.
till today's date, this is 2025, till today's date, we still have only one drug approved back in the 60s, which is called Mucomist by FDA to improve glutathione levels. And since then, no other drug has ever been approved.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. Yeah. I mean, we could
Well,
we could do a whole show on how the FDA is failing us, but that's a whole different
yeah,
topic.
but the thing is, it's not just FDA. It's the whole, any health agency in the world has not approved any glutathione products because the body never ever absorbs it correctly,
Hmm.
ever.
Okay.
IVs, it doesn't matter. So the liposome form I was making it did not work either. I said, wait a second. I left. I abandoned the project. I
Are you
worked
trying to tell
with.
me that I'm flushing my money down the toilet every month?
Uh, I'm not sure you're flushing it down anything, but for sure it's not doing everything you wanted to do, that you hope to do, right?
Right,
Just
right.
because it works a little bit, I wanted, as a pharmacist, as any healthcare provider would want for their patients is guarantees.
Yes,
If I give you something, is it going to work for you or not?
correct.
All I can do is put you in the right place in the in the right spot, and if this is the solution, it's going to work 100% of the time. That was my goal. And so I did not know why the glutathione liposome was not working. So I started working on this newer technology. At that time, no medication was ever approved by FDA or any other agency in the world, which is a polysaccharide glucose molecules being used to transport peptides.
Okay.
Nobody has ever done this before, right? So we were one of the first companies. I recruited my one of my colleagues at USC. It was a Keck School of Medicine. He was in the research department of the protein molecules over there. I plucked him over. I was like an entrepreneur. I said, you know what? Are you sick and tired of writing for grant money? Don't worry. Come on down. I got plenty of money. I had
Okay.
no money, right? I had no money. So come on down. Don't worry. We have plenty of
Fake,
money.
fake it till you make it.
Yeah, you don't ever have to work for it. I'll pay you whatever you want, but you don't have to worry about money, right? And so I convinced him about 2 years later because like professors are, right? They will never get convinced. I said, no, 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 no. You're too small of a company. Uh, But then he retired from the USC. He came to join my company. We started working on this glutathione project, and we've perfected the system on how to deliver, how to uh, sequester the glutathione into this dextrin molecule, the polysaccharide molecule, and deliver it to your body.
Okay.
So this is what we did. There's two-part problem. One, your skin is a physical barrier.
True.
Physical barrier. So the particle size matters. Okay, particle size matters. So we had to get the particle size smaller to get through your skin. That was the first hurdle, and I thought that was the biggest hurdle that could ever be.
So you knew
And
right then and there to skip any digestion process and go external.
well, at that time, because the thing is, everything that you do by glutathione, every single study that has been out there showed that oral glutathione, it doesn't matter what form you take, is going to be get broken down into various amino acids.
Okay.
Liposome was the only hope I had, and since I did not get the results I was looking for, I lost hope in it. Right?
Okay.
There was no studies being done at that time yet when I was doing my work, so I could not say affirmatively that this was what's happening. So I moved on a different project, and on my own. So physical barrier, that was a big deal for me. And I thought this, if I can accomplish this physical barrier and get the particle size small enough to get through your skin, oh my God, I'll be a billionaire, right? Uh, when I did that first part, I quickly realized that the bigger barrier than the physical barrier is a chemical barrier of your cell wall.
Hmm.
The cell wall, the cell wall is completely intact. Nothing gets through it. Not a peptide for God's sakes. It's
Okay.
never going to get through. It's never going to get through the cell wall.
Yeah.
So that's when I find out, oh my God, now what? How do I get through the barrier? Guess what? What does a cell want? Sugar. They
Okay.
want polysaccharides. If I can figure out, if I can trick it, if I take a polysaccharide molecule and stuff inside glutathione inside, and so outside it sees as a polysaccharides, bunch of sugar molecule that doesn't increase sugar levels in your body,
Okay.
and inside is
That
a
was going to be a question, because
yeah,
I'm Mr. Anti-sugar.
yeah. So
But
inside is a Trojan horse, which is glutathione. When I did that part, it's like
it was
miracle.
like it was like it was like open the security gates. It's like, oh, it thinks that it's a sugar molecule. Let's let that in. Interesting.
That's exactly what happened. So I went through the physical barrier, a chemical barrier, everything goes inside. All of a sudden, the patents that start flowing in. I got 8 patents already on this molecule for different ways of delivering and sequestering and manufacturing patents and use patents and all kinds of things now. Uh, so that was the two things I did. And then, sure enough, 2011 comes around. University of Texas in Austin did a study on liposome glutathione. They took 26 kids, young kids, autistic kids. 13 kids got oral capsules of liposomes, no liquid, sorry,
Mhm.
and 13 kids got transdermal, the same liposome glutathione transdermally. And none of the companies were willing to give them for free products, so they had to buy the products. So it just gives you, this will tell you that this is not a biased study. This is an
Yeah.
unbiased study. They bought the products because they asked the company to give them free products that the company refused, right?
Interesting.
And so it's for 26 kids. Come on, it's not even $1,000, and they refused to give them free products. Anyways, the study was done. The study got published, and the results were that when you take liposome form of glutathione, there was no increase of glutathione in the body first. They saw increase of all the amino acids. Cysteine went up, taurine went up,
Hmm.
but then 6 hours later, they saw a rise of glutathione levels.
Okay.
And the conclusion came back down that the body was actually breaking down the glutathione, absorbing the cysteine. Cysteine was getting used by the body to produce glutathione internally, and the glutathione levels went up. So don't get me wrong, all glutathione products in the world works. They all work to a certain extent,
So
but not
what's their
because
efficacy? What's the efficiency? What's the end
but
result
but
percentages? Right.
yes, but it's not because it's absorbing anything. The body's breaking it down, taking all the building blocks and producing its own glutathione.
Hmm.
Now, if you have a gene mutation, GSTP, GSTM, GGT, if you have enzyme defects, you cannot conjugate glutathione, I don't care what product you take. I don't care. Your body's not going to make glutathione.
Huh. Even your product.
Well, that's the difference, right? Because my product is
Ah.
completely different now. My
Okay.
product is is now the thing is we are working with so many gene testing companies today because as soon as they find a subject that they have, well, they call it subjects, but if they find a patient they have this gene mutation, right, they don't even take a chance. They don't even take a chance. They just put them on glutathione immediately on the topical form of glutathione because they don't know if the gene is expressing or not expressing. If it's expressing, they're in trouble. If it's not expressing, you get some time,
Hmm.
right? But regardless, they are not going to be able to produce their own glutathione eventually. So might as well give them right now the glutathione straight up for the body to use. It's like if you're handicapped and if you cannot go to work, but you still need money to survive, how is that going to work?
Right.
Right? If
That's
I
a
give
true
you money
point.
in your wallet somehow, then we are done. If there is no money in the wallet, then there's nothing that's going to happen, right? And
Hmm.
so at the end of the day, I want to help people that are handicapped that cannot go to work and they cannot make their own money. If they cannot do that part, I want to provide them with the resources. So there's a very small subset of people, very, very small. Not everybody has gene mutation that cannot produce any glutathione. Otherwise, they'll be dead from a long time ago, right?
Okay.
But this thing happens at a later age in your life. And when that happens, a lot of people have stunt production and they go downhill really fast. Like if you
Hmm.
get a gene mutation, they can produce glutathione, they go downhill really, really fast. They get all kinds of diseases, the cancers, everything happens, and boom, they're gone within no time, right?
Well, yeah.
And so over my job is to figure out, I say, how can I not happen? How can I prevent that from happening, first of all? So testing ahead of time to see that, hey, which patients for sure are going to be needing my product for the rest of their life. And then the rest of the people, hey, you can do whatever you want to do. I'm sure your body will be okay. But if you're over the age of 40, you can take any product in the world. Your glutathione levels are never going to be high normal.
Okay.
And in your case, you're taking the liposome form of glutathione. The normal range for glutathione is between 500 to 1,000 or 1,100 micromoles per liter. Check your levels out. It's not going to be over 1,000.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm overdue to do another deep dive into my like blood work analysis, and I'm actually researching a new FMD. I love the growth of functional medicine doctors. It just has created some exciting new opportunities to give me the freedom to ask what I want.
Of
Yeah,
course.
you know,
That's the way it's
uh,
supposed to be.
or it should be.
Yeah.
It would be wonderful if we eventually all get to agree on that across the. I have friends that are MDs. I have friends that are chiropractors. I have friends that are pharmacists. My wife, she's on the animal side, but she's an equine doctor and doctor of chiropractic for animals. So she went to Cornell, she went to UPenn. Smart cookie. She spent time in the lab. Under early education. So I know how to surround myself with smart people. So it is frustrating though. You can't even. That's like something like you're talking about right now. I'm like, well, okay, well, we should do an analysis before and then an analysis after to see if you're getting any positive impacts.
That's right.
Granted,
And
that involves us having to spend a little bit of our hard-earned money because that stuff is usually not always covered under quote unquote healthcare. So, um,
unfortunately. And
unfortunately,
so that's why you want to do some trials. And so you save the money for the consumers that, hey, you don't have to do the trials. We'll do the trials ourselves, at least give you the chance that, hey, this park, if you use it this way, is going to raise your levels. Regardless if that's going to work for you or not, that's not my problem. My
right?
concern is that if this is a solution and if this is where you have to be there, I'll get you there. That's my
Yeah.
number one thing, right? For example, I've been working with NFL right now for doing some brain mapping studies as well because athletes are get banged up all the time.
Oh God.
Uh, and so they are having issues with concussions, TBIs, and when they retire, if they had X number of concussions, they are having some major issues long term as well. And so I'm working with the head neurosurgeon at NFL right now and just trying to figure out, hey, how is that possible? Because oxidative stress is the highest in the brain.
Yeah.
And so the oxidative stress in the brain is so high, how can I reduce it down? And it's not
Uh,
just for
I
preventing.
know Joe Rogan promotes what you're talking about. There's I forget the name of the business. I think they're in Texas, in Austin, maybe too. Like he's all about his one buddy. He's had him on the show a couple of times. He's a pharmacist, but because that guy like opened my eyes to how pharmacy has changed over the years. Like old school pharmacy, which barely exists, you would actually formulate everything
Compounding
there.
pharmacy.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Yeah. And how hospitals depend on you guys, but they don't tell anybody that. And then they
Yeah.
try and regulate it. And then it's crazy the corruption that I found from behind the scenes on that. Like, oh my God. So yeah, we need professionals like you because not everything is off the shelf. You have to customize things. But that guy's business, I know he was talking a lot about, especially former military, right? You have not
Yeah.
just concussions, but you can have PTSD from explosions and everything else. So the amount of brain trauma that you've gone over. I mean, I spent 12 years coaching kids in ski racing. So the biggest thing we had to restore every single year was constantly being on top of concussion education, being aware, finding it, seeing it. Because if you get one injury on top of another injury, and then this could change the rest of your life, and
That's
because
right.
of inflammation and everything. So
Exactly. And the glutathione is by far the strongest product you have in your body to bring oxidative stress down and improve neuroplasticity. So
yeah,
I have Olympic skiers, Olympians as a patients of ours, and
sweet.
they're not using it for anti-aging purposes or longevity purposes.
No,
They're using it for neuroplasticity because the difference between the first place on a gold medal and the fourth place off the podium
yeah,
is 0.1 second or 1 second differential.
yeah.
I mean, they're so smart, they're so fast, so good at everything they do, but either you're on the podium or not on the podium is a very small differential. And it's a split second decision. See, that
It's
make the
clear
difference.
thought. It's
Yeah.
a bulletproof mindset. But
Yes,
if your brain tissue or you have any type of trauma,
you're
that
done.
is not going to be clear. It's not going to be concise. It's not going to be a well, quote Olympic level capability. So
Exactly. And so
yeah,
they're using it for neuroplasticity,
hmm.
right? And so
Interesting.
when I think about it, I said, hey, how many people out there are walking with a brain fog? They don't even know about it yet.
Yeah.
And I thought there was not too many people like those until I started talking to people about brain fog. I said, "Oh, I have a brain fog." I said, "Oh my God." I found out there's a lot of people have brain fog.
Oh yeah.
And the thing is they can think better. And forget the people, doctors. I go to all functional medicine conferences all over the country. And these doctors have turned to functional medicine themselves because they themselves are customers and patients.
Yeah.
And so every conference I go to, I'll probably put the glutathione on it, like at least 100 different doctors, every show I go to. And one or two doctors will come back and say, "Oh my God, my brain fog just cleared up. I had no idea I had a
Same
brain
day.
fog."
Same day. Within a
Forget
couple
same day, in
hours.
15 minutes. In
Wow.
15 minutes. And so when I saw that for the first time, I said, okay, who are these people? So a lot of the people with the brain fog in the physician side, they have a genetic defect where their needs are very, so they have MTHFR gene mutation, COMT gene mutation, where the needs of glutams are very high, or they have GSTM, GSTP, GGT enzyme defects where they cannot conjugate enough glutathione for the body. And either one of those two, they causes a brain fog. And I give glutathione, and in 15 minutes, the brain fog clears up. They are ready to go speak on the podium. They're speaking at the conferences, and it goes, I just sprayed some glutathione outside, and I can tell you right now, my brain is so clear.
Hmm.
I'm able to talk on the stage today because of this one person outside. Go see him, right? So that just gives you confirmation immediately.
Yeah.
But again, average person is not going to do that part. Average person does not even know about brain fog, but what they do know is about sleep disturbances.
Mm-hmm.
Again, these are all neurological issues, all stress
It's all
induced.
brain health. I mean,
It's all
I'm wearing
brain
my
health.
blue blockers right now because it's 7:40 p.m. here on the East Coast and it's
Yeah.
nighttime. So I start putting these things on right away. Now, does my wife listen to me? No, but I love her. But because I've had four different founders of blue blocking companies over the years on this show because I'm a biohacker and I want to understand that. I have a red light therapy device in my other room here. So I'm all about that stuff. See, you get it. Yeah. So what time is it where you're at right now?
I will change my glasses for you too, I guess.
Well, it's funny because I've had people like they'll go find the video for the show and I'm like, "What are you wearing?" And I was like, "So clearly you need to catch up."
I do.
Because
I have all,
I've been doing this for probably 7, 8 years now.
yeah. So I
So
have the yellow one, I have the red
yep,
one, I have the orange one, I have all three of
I
them.
have the daytime clear with a slight blue hue to it for that
Yes.
to help
Yep.
reduce stress from the computer. I literally have three. Just so if you ever see my head moving, I have three monitors here. So at this time of the evening, there's so much light in my studio here. Trust me, I'm blocking. So
That's right.
yeah.
Well, that's a whole goal. So, anyways, uh, we
But
can
with
talk about,
Alzheimer's
but
nowadays, everything we're talking about right now, that could be the worst case,
it's
one of the
the
worst case scenario end results, right? Is
and that's what I was going at it right now is because if you're thinking that hey, that there's somebody's going to find a cure for Alzheimer's or Parkinson's or ALS or Huntington's disease, please don't wait. Please don't wait.
I
Take
lost
care of
I
it
lost my
today.
cousin to ALS.
Yeah. So
He
take care of it
he,
today.
he was a kick-ass football player in high school, and within 5 years, ALS kicked in. Within 10 years, he was gone.
So here's the thing, right? So nobody ever did the gene testings for them.
No,
That's what I'm
this
trying.
is way back. Yeah, way back.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm trying to tell people is that disease doesn't come up like this by
Mhm.
itself. No, there has
Thank
to be
you.
something trigger. And like I said earlier, your body is just made perfect. There are no extra screws, extra parts, extra chemicals inside your body. Everything is just perfect. Okay, this is not like made by IKEA. I'm sorry, nothing wrong with IKEA furniture, but there's no extra screws left inside when God made us, right?
It is
And
true.
so the body is so just perfect, and if for it to go down suddenly, there has to be a trigger.
Hmm.
And if that gene mutation happen and it expresses itself, it gives you a disease, and there's an end of it, right? And
Yes.
so all I'm trying to do is, if you do a gene mapping study and you find out that, hey, my body is maybe prone to not making glutathione, or the needs are going to be very high, I'm going to do today whatever it takes to improve these levels at all times so that gene expression never happens, first of all. If it does happen, I'm protected for the rest of my life, not have to worry about it.
It's interesting because like we're hitting on that subject right now. Let's pause there because like I told you how I had Dr. J years ago do an analysis on my stuff, and that's how I found out about glutathione. He's like, oh yeah, he's like, your profile and your marker, you would know these by heart, but he goes, yes, you technically have the marker that, depending if it's like you said, if it's manifesting itself, then you could benefit from glutathione. He's like, so you may want to try it and see if it's impacting you. Just like I mean, in that report, I also, which I think most people, when they hear this, they're like, duh, everybody would, but like vitamin D3, they're like, you would benefit from that. Well, it's like, okay, but nowadays they say everybody does. So this, I think, is why like you're hitting on the subject right now of testing. Is we spend eight to $10 on some kind of death drink from Starbucks. I'll go ahead and say it, or some sugar bomb concoction of crap. So it's like, okay, just maybe set aside a couple of those purchases a month, and then save the money and invest in yourself, invest in your health, and get some analysis done, especially before and after, so you can
True.
actually see this and see what's going on. Now,
So
if this was 10 years ago, I'd be having to teach this to myself. So, yeah.
So I've talked about this one to all the big wigs that run functional medicine. These are the names that are the who's who of the world. They've been in front of the Congress to advocate about healthy living and healthy food and all those things. And I tell them that your body adjust adjust to everything that we eat, that we drink, that we take, every single thing. Any insult that happens to the body will keep on adjusting. When
Okay.
the adjustment period is over, that's when the symptoms kick in. So when you
Okay.
do the first blood test or saliva test or urine test or whatever test you want to do, what you're really measuring is what? After the body is done adjusting.
Hmm.
And what you're really measuring is the first step. And that's hoping that you're coming on the first step. If the body's given up and said, hey, now you have this problem to deal with it. Now you have sugar, or you have cholesterol, whatever that is, right? Inflammation
Okay.
that you deal with it. But what you cannot measure is how long the body has been adjusting to get you in this stage now. And so I see as a testing as a lagging indicator and is not actually telling me the total truth. So
Okay.
even though I do believe in testing, I do believe that testing just gives you a starting point or what markers you are looking at right now. But to unfold every single thing that has gone wrong over the years, that's what I'm going at right now.
Okay.
I don't want you to just go from really bad to not so bad. I want you to go from not bad at all to baby, or to actually I cannot get you to baby, but up to like 80 or 20 years of age.
Sure.
Because baby, you have too much stem cells, so you're still growing. At the age of 18, 20, you're fully grown. You have no more stem cells remaining. Everything is built
Yeah.
out now.
Skeletal structures established. You
Everything is
could
done.
still retrain your muscles and build
Yes,
more density and things of that nature, but at least you're at that, what, like a adult baseline, I guess,
yep,
or something like that.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's what I want to go at it. So a lot of my clients are the who's who of the world, and they are looking for untangling every single thing.
Hmm.
And the example I give everybody is that Uh, uh, Imagine you just came home with a bag full of groceries. Both the hands are tied up. So you open the door, walk in the kitchen, and put the groceries down, left the door open. The wind comes over here and basically brings in the leaves, the sand, the dirt, and all this crap inside your house.
Yes.
So since you are a good person and you listen to your wife, you pick up a broom and a vacuum and start cleaning the house.
Sure.
But guess what? The house will never get cleaned up. You know why? Because you forgot to close the door.
Still wide open.
It's such a simple thing that most people are looking at the dirt, but they don't look at the door that was been opened. That's what the
The root
dirt came in,
cause.
right? The root cause. So, but here's the thing. So but you're a smart guy. I know you're smart. So what you'll do is you close the door first. But if you close the door, is the dirt going to be cleaned up by itself?
No.
No, you still have to clean the dirt.
Yeah.
And see,
You still
that's
have to
the part.
follow through.
Follow through. So the reason I'm telling the story to you is why? Because if you look at the top 10 causes of death in the world today, top 10 causes of death, you can talk about autoimmune conditions, Alzheimer's or heart disease or cardiometabolic disorders or whatever, right?
Mhm.
One of them is accidents. Let's take it out of the picture. I
Mhm.
cannot do anything about accidents. Everything else is linked to oxidative stress. And oxidative stress is endogenously that we produce internally, or we are getting exposure to outside chemicals, toxins, pollutions,
Oh, you can have.
drugs,
I had a mold expert on a month
mold,
ago.
whatever.
What was it? Mycotoxins, all of these things, which is very detrimental to brain health. By the way, you don't even know what's going on inside of your home. It's crazy. So,
Right? So that oxidative stress is what I tell the leaving the door open for you. So if you cannot, let's say you try to close the door, but you only close the door halfway. Still not the best.
no.
You got to close the door down completely. That's what I said, that the glutathione level has to be high normal at all times. Why? Because that is guaranteeing the door is shut.
So you believe in? I like where you're going with this. You're trying to trigger that peak level of glutathione,
All
whatever you
at
want
all
to call it,
times.
intensity at all points in times, because we are human and
Yes.
we aren't always going to have that perfect door closure timing or whatever. Or you have pets and you're opening and closing the door because you got to let the dog to go out, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
I get,
all
I
the
get, I
time.
get you on that. Yeah.
So
Um,
that's the reason why glutathione is so important to everybody, to keep this door shut at all times. But now, if you shut the door down and there's a damage inside your body, you still have to fix the damages.
mhm.
You still have to eat the right nutrients and do the right things, or people do stem cells therapy, or people do all kinds of things to basically to get all the dirt ready.
Yeah.
Once the dirt is ready and dumped into the liver, guess what?
Yeah.
Glutathione can go back and take the dirt and get rid of it too.
Absolutely. Well, again,
So
your liver and your kidneys and that whole
yep,
system is
exactly.
amazing if it's performing at a peak level.
Peak
If you're
level.
doing things to run an anti-inflammatory lifestyle, as much toxic freedom as possible. But again, I travel a lot. We just got back 3 weeks ago from heli skiing in British Columbia and Whistler. So it's like, okay, we had planes, airports, flying in a helicopter.
Uh-huh.
Granted, the air in the backcountry of the British Columbia mountains was pristine and clear, so at least that was healthy. But like you'll appreciate this in September. I think it was September. Ripping on my mountain bike on a trail that I actually helped build many years ago, not far from my house. Crashed, broke ribs, collapsed the lung, the
Jeez.
whole thing. Now, 5.5 years ago, when we planned we're adrenaline junkies. We did a whole heli skiing wedding, also in
Oh,
Canada, but in Banff. So I collapsed the lung for a different reason. The other lung, probably 6 years ago now. Well, that time I was in hospital for a few days, waiting for the chest tube to work and help the lung, your chest cavity heal. This time, in and out in 24 hours. They had me on off that chest tube, and I was out the following afternoon. Even the nurses joked around, and they were like, "This is probably one of the fastest chest tube pulls and exits we've had in a while." And I'm like, "I'm here to impress," in a fun way, but it's not a brag. It's okay, 10 years of me becoming a geek and wanting peak performance, right? Wanting,
yeah.
I hopefully, I'm intrigued to hear your angle on this where we're out in the show. I truly believe in this statement. We need to be personally, but also collectively, but really, it starts personally accountable for our health. We have to take
Oh,
accountability and stop passing the buck on the doctor or the pharmacist or the PA or the like. Guys, they're there to help serve you and help you, like you started the show with. But it's like, no, 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 no. We have to take accountability. We have to start learning and understanding this more, especially nowadays. What are your thoughts on
oh, absolutely. Are you kidding me?
that?
If we don't take our health in our own hands, nobody else is going to do that for us.
Yeah.
It's like, have you seen those patients that go to a fat doctor to help them get
Yeah.
lose weight?
Yeah.
I said, really? If you're asking a doctor who himself is not in the perfect shape, how
Oh,
is he
that,
or she
yeah.
going to,
That
yeah,
cracks me
help
up
you,
too. Yeah.
right? And
Yeah. It's like,
so I always say you got to take care of your own health. And nobody's here to insurance company there to make money. They're not here to serve you and to
yeah.
pay for your misconceptions,
I might be
right?
saying it wrong. Maybe you can correct me.
Yeah.
I use this statement all the time, so I think it's right. But I was like, you know what, guys? Here's how I literally had this conversation before this show. Every month, tomorrow I'll be at my chiropractor, but I was at her office tonight because she has a new advanced high level massage therapist, and I now
Oh,
fell in love with this woman's amazing. Anyway, 90-minute sessions once a month minimum. And then my chiro session, just stuff in my personal regimen. I set this goal years ago. Like, man, I want to be financially stable enough to obviously pay for whatever I want, go on a heli skiing trips with my wife. But I was like, nope, self-care, right? Doing massage every month, doing chiro, doing deeper dive research into like, the only supplement I take right now is that glutathione. Because I also, Dr. Anthony Chafee, he's a big carnivore influencer, neurosurgeon down in Australia. Had him on a couple times. Love him. He's pure, pure carny guy. But he's like, I truly believe in the definition of a supplement. You shouldn't have to supplement if everything is perfect. But he also admits, he goes, so how often is everything perfect, right? The word
yeah.
perfect is also technically a farce. So back to our point on finding the right supplements that align with you and your recent point, finding a way to keep that at peak levels so it just counteracts anything else coming in and
Sure.
at you. I love this point because I haven't geeked out enough on glutathiones. That's why I was like, I couldn't wait for tonight's show. I was like, all right, we're gonna geek out on this because I love putting myself on the block. Because if I could at least sacrifice myself for my listeners, then great. Maybe that gets them out of their comfort zone, right? And say, great. Well, if Scott's willing to bust his own balls and have a smarter person than him call him out or help him direct things, they might start doing it too. And sometimes it takes us doing that N1 experiment. Like I am my own N1 experiment is what I like to say, and say, great, well, here's what's working for me. And this is because I've spent how long trying to figure it out. So
Yeah. And
I don't
the
know.
way I tell my patients is that either you read my research and get something out of it for yourself, or you can see what I'm doing and see if that's aligns with you. And if nothing works out, then you follow somebody else.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to tell you what to do ever, right? I can just show you what I have done, what other people have done, and what results they are getting, and see if that's something resonates with you. So it's not like nobody wants to give advices, or nobody like sorry, other way around. Nobody wants to take advices. Everyone wants to give an advice, but
Oh,
nobody
there's
wants,
always free. There's always free advice out there.
yeah, but
But I mean,
nobody wants advices either.
that's
So
what I loved about your YouTube channel, but also your website is because like it was so easy for me. I'm gonna screen share. I'm not screen sharing at the show. I always mix it in for the video watchers. But like your your website, aurowellness.com, I went right. Yeah, I could shop. I could look at the products, but I'm like, oh, thank God he's got a technology section. Okay. And he's got FAQs. I'm like, great. So I could dig in and yeah, I'll get to the products, but I want to see how you're defining glutathione. I want to see, boom, yes, because I know these things. All right. He's got the stress called out. He's got the benefits called out. But then you started geeking out on your branding here because I was like, okay, never heard of this before. So I
yeah.
had to make sure I got this screen share in, especially at this point in the show, because I'm like, what is that?
So
Yeah.
that's my water plant. So what I found out was, since I'm delivering glutathione straight to the cells,
Okay.
I cannot have anything impure inside my product. Nothing.
Okay.
So what you're seeing over there, the big tank on the left hand side,
Yes. Let me scroll a minute.
it's a water for injection system. So
Wow.
we spend close to $2.5 million for the water plant,
Oh, is that
just
all?
just so that I can make my own water to the purest form.
Wow.
What you're not seeing is, see the guy that's sitting over there. That's not a trend. That's my senior researcher on my staff.
Gotcha.
Right in front of him, there are 5 channels for distillation. That's how we distill the water 5 times.
Mm.
And we steam them, we condense them, we steam them and condense them 5 times, and then it gets stored in this big tank, and that's the water we use to make our product. And
Wow.
it's very different because without that pure quality water, there's a potential that somebody might get hurt.
Yeah.
So I had to make sure that, again, there's no requirements for us to do these kinds of work, but as a pharmacist, I know what damage it can do if it's not done correctly. So I
Yes.
had to make sure that I self-regulate myself to the highest degree to making sure that my consumers get the highest quality product ever.
I love that. I mean, because it's like if you're going to become passionate about something, I mean, I do a lot of sales and marketing consulting, right? So it's like, okay, it's a lot easier to be passionate about something that you believe in. And if
Yeah,
you're not willing to put yourself 110% behind something, maybe you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. Maybe you should be partnering with somebody else who's willing to go to that level, right? Like you need to have at least somebody on your team that at that level. So it's great if you're already at that level because then now you get to attract other people around you who want that same level of belief, right? Will take that same pride in what you're doing. It's one of the most simplistic things that I found over the years in business. It's like, okay, find a way to level not just yourself up, but everything you're influencing, everything around you, because everybody's going to benefit from it. You got to
true.
believe in it. And if you're trying to go at 110%, that's going to make it that much easier.
It is,
That's just
and
my thing.
this is something that was I was so passionate about this thing. When I first got this product ready in 2007, I didn't release the product until 2021 to the public. 14 years of research before I released the product to the public because when I first made the product and I sprayed on my body and I got the levels to high levels of glutathione in the body,
Mm-hmm.
I got so scared. First, I got very impressed. I said, "Oh my God, hallelujah!" Right? But then I got so scared because now I have the potential of getting somebody to the reductive state, which is never seen before in the history of mankind.
Yeah.
Never seen any human being go on the other side where we have zero oxidative stress and now we have reductive state
Hmm.
because there's no products in the world that can do that. Glutathione is the only product that can do that. And now that we have the ability to bypass all your barriers and get inside your body, it can potentially go overboard. So we quickly stopped everything we did. We hired a bunch of researchers and physicians and started doing some research, trying to figure out how much to give you, how often to give you, what's the area under the curve, how is it affecting the body, what's the high low, what's the low range, what if I push it really hard, if I go over the board, what kind of reactions am I going to get?
I was definitely going to be asking that. I was like, is there
Right.
a point of
Oh yes, oh yes,
oversaturation or
yes,
over
yes,
consumption,
absolutely.
right? So
Absolutely, there is. So that's
yeah.
why I got to do all the studies. 14 years it took me to do all this workup. That's why I'm finished with writing the book as well, The Glutathione Revolution. Tentatively, I was writing the book as well and released the product. But then I figured out very early on in 2013, 2014, I figured out that this product is going to be super, super expensive. I said, oh my God. And if I don't do it correctly, then this is going to be cost prohibitive for people to buy.
Yeah.
And so guess what I did? I built my own manufacturing plant.
Well, that'll help.
Well, thing is, because otherwise it will be cost prohibitive for people. And I went back to my family. My family is pretty old. So I went with the family. I said, hey, family, I need some money. I'm going to build this plant out and it's going to save the mankind. And I'm not sure if I'm going to
I mean,
ever
it's a
pay.
good sales pitch. I
Oh,
mean,
absolutely. So I got money. I got money. I got build a plant out. I still haven't paid them a dime yet. But guess what? They don't need the money. They just want to do good work, right? So they believe in my cause. They believe what I'm trying to do, and said, hey, I'm only doing so that people can have access to this product at a cheaper price tag.
so you're doing your own water, well, at least the purification process. You're doing the own manufacturing, and then do you also have your own lab then? Because you
Everything.
started as a pharmacist, so you're start to finish.
I'm starting to
Other than packaging, I mean,
everything we do in-house. We do bottling, packaging, labeling, because we try to reduce the cost down because every single thing, if somebody else gets involved,
hmm,
they take a piece of the action. And that piece of the action is paid by the consumers.
yeah.
And I wanted the consumers to get the best possible product at the cheapest price I can give them. And so that's what I did. Even though the price is too expensive and people compare my product to glutathione products, But the real expensive part is the technology that's in there, the sugar molecules that's in there.
I'm not here to sell your products. I mean, I never do that on my show, but I
Yeah,
don't care. I screen share like crazy. So,
yeah.
uh, right here, I mean, how many deliveries, how
That's
many
that's a 30-day
doses?
supply.
Oh,
It's
I'm paying this bottle right here is like $100. So I'm right there
so just to
without
let
your
you know.
advanced formulation.
Well, the advance is too strong for most people.
Okay.
So I'll just tell you that right now. The regular product, which is 125.95,
Yeah.
is where I did all my clinical trials that I did was on the regular product.
Okay.
Everything that I've done.
So what's the
The,
plus? You just doubled it?
it's a 1.75 times stronger.
Okay.
1.75 times stronger. The plus
So
is
how do
even
you know who could safely take that?
so the plus is for people that have much higher needs. So anybody can use more glutathione. It's not going to happen. It's not going to
So,
do
like, would
anything.
an Olympian justify that because they're a high performing
So,
athlete, or is
so
it more from people who have more health impacts like
more health
disease or?
impact, more
Okay,
health impacts.
okay.
And so a lot of we work with God knows how many thousands of physicians across the
I saw you have
globe.
a practitioner's
Yeah.
portal on the site too.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And so
yeah.
we have a lot of practitioners that work with us. We have a lot of team owners, team players, the team doctors like NFLs and hockey teams and basketball, baseball teams owners. The team doctors are working with us,
Hmm.
and so they use for specific reason the higher concentration versions. But anybody can use a higher version. It's just that you might be wasting a lot of money sometimes if you do not need that high of a dose. And if you take a high concentration and if you get a rash or you get diarrhea or if you get a headache or something like that, you know that's too much for you anyways.
Okay.
Go back to the regular version or reduce the dose down, go back to the regular
Well, it's
version.
like if you take too much magnesium, right?
Yeah, exactly. You
Granted,
get
there's different
diarrhea.
forms of magnesium, but you may get the soft stool results, right? So, um, but so on the high dosing, on that point, your research, how did you guys come across that peak threshold or that limiting threshold? Like where do you start hitting the brakes, so to speak? Like how was that discovered?
So again, this was we only did healthy subjects. We never did on sick people,
Okay.
right? And so for healthy subjects, we find out what the dose was going to be.
Okay.
It's not after we released the product in 2020, but then we found out that majority of the people they are sick, they need high glutathione. And so a year later is when we released the stronger version.
Okay.
And so the stronger version is good for people that have high needs of glutathione, and it's just a temporary need anyways. Use it for 3 months, 6 months, up to a year and a half, and then they go back to the regular version for the rest of their life anyways. It's
Oh,
just that
interesting.
the stronger version is just because keep in mind the body recycles 50% of the glutathione gets recycled in the body, which is due to oxidative stress.
Okay.
If it's conjugation, the body destroys all the glutathione. If you drink alcohol, all the glutathione is destroyed. 100% of the glutathione is destroyed, right?
So it's
But
just
if you
one drink of any
it's
kind of
one drink,
alcohol.
one drink of alcohol will
So you could be
destroy.
supplementing, in the morning, and then you decide to have a glass of wine with your dinner at the restaurant. So whatever you did earlier today, you just hit the reset switch. Now,
Exactly,
what if you take it afterwards? If there's
exactly. So
alcohol in your system, I
so
mean,
basically, so for I don't drink alcohol, but when I
right.
used to drink alcohol, I used to take glutathione before and after I drink.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to lather on like a bunch of those, right?
Mm.
Because even if it's one drink, I don't want to have any ill effects of the alcohol lingering on for more than a couple of hours.
Yeah.
So I'll lather it on a whole bunch of glutathione on me before and after I drink. You still buzz and you do have all those things. You cannot drive. You're still impaired,
Yeah.
but it's processing really, really fast outside your body,
Yeah. Because
right?
again, it is aiding with that detoxification process.
Yes,
And
it
you
is.
did choose to consume a toxin because that's what all alcohol is. I mean,
Yep.
um, so a lot of my super health nut guys and connections I have, a lot of people have gone. I've actually had a couple of experts on the show who were that's their whole business is helping top executives quit alcohol and reach another level of business success and everything else. So there's a lot of big movements on that and getting
And
people away from alcohol. So
And the thing is, that's exactly what my point was. How do I get people to get off alcohol? If I was having at least a drink or two a month.
hmm.
I'll probably have one or two
There's
beers
people
every
who have
month.
one or two every night. I mean,
I know that. Well,
yeah.
sometimes it's every 12 hours. But the thing
Oof.
is,
Yeah.
for me was even one or two drinks a month was too much for me.
Okay.
And so eventually when I quit completely, I said, you know what? I don't need that stuff in my life.
Yeah.
And then when I started quitting, when I meet with people and I'm on some fancy party sometimes and I meet with people, I said, "Oh, I don't drink alcohol at all." I said, "You know what? You look good. You know, I'm full of energy. I don't take any supplements. I'm full of energy. I can talk for 12 hours straight, and I'm still jumping up and down, and even at midnight sometimes. You know, I don't care." And it says, "You know what? I do feel good. I do feel energized. I don't get tired. I sleep pretty well. My body's functioning at the optimum pace right now. I don't exercise, and yet, you know what? You do everything right. You've got all the money in the world, and you're not looking healthy.
Yeah.
Things is to change." And so I convinced them somehow. And to date, I think I have helped at least 4 or 5 livers so far.
Wow.
So
It's true.
not something to brag about, but instead of 4 or 5 livers, still 4 or 5 livers.
Because again, is this a supplement that could aid if you choose not to quit alcohol? I think we've established that, right? You're
Oh,
helping with the
absolutely.
detoxification of the body. In the end, yes, the only true way to quote unquote bulletproof it is to just go and get it out of your life
But and
and
the thing
become a
is,
peak performer. So
I want to give a hope to all your listeners today, Scott, because the thing is, they need to know that liver is one of those only organs that can completely regenerate at any age.
true.
So it's never too late. It's never, ever, ever too late.
That's
If
actually a great point because there are still people saying, well, you waited this long. Okay, we're not talking about cigarette smoking. That's different. You destroy your
no,
lungs, you've destroyed your lungs. You might get a little
exactly.
reboot. Like the sooner you can quit, the better. But it's like, yes, you are correct. I do love that about the organ of the liver. It's like, wow, it's so ingenious. However, it was designed and created. It's like, dude, you can reboot that thing and bring it back like a vengeance. It's amazing. Yeah.
Exactly. And so you can quit today. You can help, you can aid, you can take some help with glutathione to kind of do the work for liver until the liver gets healthy. But in 12 to 15 months, you can literally improve your liver health to go back to normal as best as possible again.
Which
And
is
so,
essential for so many things. It's not just for detoxifying the body, but
no,
I've learned this from the great. If you ever hear of Vinny Tortorich,
no.
he's the guy who owns a trademark NSNG, no sugar, no grains. He's
Okay.
like before keto became a thing. He's like the godfather before ketogenic became a thing. Like he was the
Gotcha.
secret trainer to the stars out in LA before personal trainers became a thing. He's in his 60s now. He left LA, lives in Virginia, but I helped him on a couple of projects launching his own documentary films to help promote healthy fats versus sugar consumption, right? The whole ketogenic movement. He's got a pretty viral podcast called Fitness Confidential. But anyway, we talk about he's the first guy to tell you like alcohol is a toxin as long as you understand you're consuming it, right? But like reversing obesity, he's like, for example, he's like, dude, he's like the liver is an amazing organ. It's basically a meritocracy, and people are like, what do you mean by that? He goes, well, when it comes to influence of sugar, it doesn't see the difference. He's like, I don't care if you're ingesting cocaine sugar, as he likes to call it, brown sugar, cocaine, whatever. He's like, or the new sugar alcohols. He's like,
Yep.
when it hits the liver, it doesn't know the difference. And he's like, your weight loss and weight gain hormones, aka leptin and ghrelin, it's like weight loss and weight gain at its core, he goes, is hormonally driven. Well, guess what's affecting those? He's like, the liver. It's such an essential organ. He's like, so if you're beating the crap out of it with terrible nutrition, then you're beating the crap out of it with alcohol consumption. Like, you're not helping your situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, granted, with your supplement here, it'll help, but to truly get a full reboot like you're talking about,
Oh
get off
God.
of that stuff for you're saying at least a year, right?
Oh, it's 18 months. I was 18 months.
Okay.
But the thing is, it's these are the people that have really severe issues.
Oh, sure.
And
Absolutely.
more than the food and everything else, they need they need social support, moral support, mental support, because they got to the stage not because they chose, because something they could not control the outside environment, that they kind of circumvent towards drinking and
Yeah.
eating and binge eating, right?
I dual
So,
majored in psychology, so I'm a psych geek too.
yeah.
And you're
So
right. It's usually a fulfillment of a void, especially over the past 5 to 10 years after the COVID segment and everything else. This lack of community, the lack of camaraderie, it could really, I mean, as human beings, we naturally are supposed to be around other human beings and
yes.
connecting and conversing and having at least that element. So it is very tragic when you hear of suicide and things of that nature because of an unhealthy brain, but also an unhealthy lifestyle that led to that point, right? They become basically a solo act, not dating, not having friendships, removing yourself from family, all terrible signs that
True.
this person needs community, needs somebody around them. Besides, obviously, all of our other tips we're sharing today. But yeah,
Absolutely. And
yeah.
I just want to make sure people understand that it's never too late, right? You can do
Thank
this
you.
at any age. And now, before the end of this, if this recording, I would like to share a story about my dad, because
Absolutely.
that's going to be inspiring for a lot of these people out there. Because at the age of 78, he had a mild infarction wasn't a full-on heart attack, but he was not doing good. So we went to his doctor. Doctor scheduled his angiograph, and they found out that the artery was completely blocked, 100% blocked. And the doctor goes, "Oh, what the hell? How did you survive?" And so they put a stent in there, opened the blood flow, got better right away. Of course, they prescribed all the statin drugs and all the medication from the hospital. My dad refused to take this medication,
Mhm.
and he became my patient number one on glutathione.
Wow.
Until
Like
the
literally
time
your first official patient?
it was my first official patient
Wow.
on glutathione. This was a long time ago, of course, 12, 13 years ago. Became my first official patient on glutathione for using for long-term basis. Uh, and I'll tell you a story because 35 years before that, he had diabetes for 35 years now.
My
He had
own father.
arthritis for 30 plus years, blood pressure issues, a little bit obese, did all his hormone therapy and his nutrition therapy and yogas and all those things. Everything was done. Now he was still not healthy, right?
Hmm.
Age of 78 with infections now. And what are the chances for him living his full potential life now? None, right?
Right.
He can survive. He can survive and he can pass on his time, whatever he has. But to have a full, fulfilled life was impossible for him.
Wow.
So we gave him glutathione, and of course I forgot that I gave it to him, and I was doing my own work. He was using for a couple of years. It goes by, and then one day I was sitting with him for dinner, and I saw him just pounding on sugar. I said, "Dad, you're diabetic. How come you're eating so much sugar?" Ah, my sugar's under control for a while now. I don't care about the sugars anymore. It's been normal now. I said, "What?" Yeah. So I looked at his blood test reports. It was on his phone. I looked at his report. I said, his A1C was under 5.4. I said, whoa, his sugar's under control.
So not just below
Almost
7, I mean below 6. I mean, that's okay. Yeah.
5.4. And it says, okay, this has already been a year and a half like this. I said, that's crazy. I said, Dad, I don't, once you have diabetes for the rest of your life. It never goes away. So please make sure you walk every single day and do your exercise and all those things. I said, walk? Here. He was so proud to show it to me. He was walking 6 miles a day already.
Hmm.
I said, wait a second.
Did he have that lifestyle beforehand?
No.
Yeah.
He picked up some friends circles. My mom passed away 25 plus years ago. So he was single. So he picked up a bunch of friends that he keeps on walking around the college campus that we live by, that he lives by. And she just walks 6 miles per day. I kid you not, he had arthritis 35 years ago.
Hmm.
So, he has some deformities,
Yeah.
right? And he was walking 6 miles a day with no pain. I said, wait a second, this is crazy. Again, I didn't put two and two together, of course not.
Sure.
Another couple more years goes by, and it comes to me and say, you know what? I'm walking a little funky now. My hips are bothering me now. I said, what are you suggesting? I said, my knees are bugging me. So if you didn't get my knee replacement done, then my knees are completely intact, then my hips will get aligned. That's what the chiropractor told me. I
Well,
said,
it's
okay,
true that everything is
right?
connected. And if there's a weakness in one area, you can trigger
Yeah.
a weakness in another area. Yeah.
So he was going to a chiropractor. The chiropractor said, hey, your knees are bad, so that's why your hips are getting out of alignment. I said, okay, doc, let's go to a doctor and see what your knee replacement looks like. The X-ray was done. The doctor was shocked. I said, and you have no pain. I said, nope, he has no pain. How is it possible? It's completely deformed.
Hmm.
This looks like an old arthritis. That's like 30 years plus arthritis. So I said, yeah, it is bad. I said, he needs both the knees replaced. Doctor goes, okay, do it at the same time. The doctor laughed at him. I said, no. We can only do one knee at a time.
Yeah.
I said, no, I'm 84. I'm not going to come back again for the second knee replacement. Are you kidding me?
That
I
was
heard the first,
that was my great grandmother. She did the
right?
same thing. Yeah.
And so everybody says that if you do one knee, the next knee never gets done because it's so painful, never do it again.
Just do them
And so
both.
I heard the story, do both the knees at the same time. The doctor goes, but the thing is, you'll be out of commission for 6 months. If something goes wrong, You won't be able to go to the bathrooms, do anything like that. I said, then my dad goes, don't worry, I'll take care of myself. Right? So he
I like his
exercised.
mindset. Yeah.
Yeah. So for about a month and a half to 2 months, he got him a bicycle, he's got his quad strong and every single thing because once the knee replacement is done, he cannot walk, right? So he got everything ready for the knee replacement, did the surgery. Literally 2 days later, he was walking outside the hospital. And the nurses over there call him Superman because they've never seen an 84-year-old man do double knee replacement and walk out the hospital,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So he walks out. The doctor goes, "Don't get too excited. Do your physical therapy. Just keep it easy, and just it'll take about 6 months for you, and don't travel anywhere." And so 3.5 months later, he was in India traveling already. He packed up his bag and left to India. He
That
was
doesn't sound like a guy who likes people
Yeah,
telling him what to do.
exactly. He left. He left for India. He has a house in Africa. He went to Africa. He went to India. He's just traveling world.
Yeah.
And in between that time frame, every vacation we went to, he was with us. He came to Yosemite National Park with us. He went to Hawaii with us. He came
Mm.
to Costa Rica. We went on an adventure trip in Costa Rica. No matter where we went, he was with us doing all his life activities.
I love it. Yeah.
So I'm telling this story to you is because is this the guy that is living now, or is he surviving, or is he living his life now? Right? And so that's I want to tell people this story because at the age of 80 plus at this thing, what is he going to do? So, during the COVID time, as soon as the COVID hit, boom, he was gone. He picked up his bag and left. He
Yeah.
left. He went to overseas. There was a lockdown in every country in the world. He somehow managed to go through a lockdown and go travel the world. He was
Yeah.
traveling every single country wherever he can go. Went to Australia, New Zealand, Africa, India, everywhere. Right? He's traveling. Last year, same thing. He was traveling in India. He has a house in the southern part of India by the ocean. Just walking down the street, getting some street foods. Street foods get some diarrhea, some loose bowel movement. That's what happened to him. I said, Dad, stop eating this junk food. Just eat the right foods. I said, I could never eat those foods. Now I can enjoy my life. Let me
Yeah.
eat what I want to eat. I'm 89 now. What do you care? Right? So,
He's
okay,
got a good
fine.
point. Yeah.
Yeah, do what you want to do, right? And he was by himself, single, living his life right now. But because of the diarrhea, he got lightheadedness.
Hmm.
The next morning in the shower, bam, he falls down.
Oh,
He's broke his skull,
oh,
right?
God. That's a bad
So
fall.
it's bad fall. It's a bad fall. Right away, I thought I knew this was going to be bad, right? So I said, okay, shoot, what do I do now? He calls, FaceTimes us. I said, I'm okay. Oh my God. He
From the
FaceTimes us.
hospital or,
Hospital, from the hospital. He's calling us. I said, I'm okay. Don't worry about it. I said, oh, shoot. So I told you that I work with the NFL neurosurgeons over there.
sure.
So I called up my buddy right away. I said, hey, my dad just fall down and it's his internal hemorrhaging. His MRIs are already in. There's a bleeding internally, but is he coherent? Is he cognizant? Is he loss of memory? I said, nope, everything is fine. It's just his internal bleeding going on. I said, okay, tell me what hospital. So I gave him the name. 2 hours later, there was somebody visiting my dad in India in a hospital, some big shot, checking out on my dad. I said, "Whoa, this is impressive for me." And my dad listened. He calls me up from the hospital. Says, hey, your dad's okay. There's some bleeding going on. If he survives the next 3 or 4 days, you'll be okay. So don't worry about it, right? I said, but he did not know he was 89 years of age. I said, wow, he's for 89 years looks damn good, right? For really, really in really good shape.
Mhm.
I've never seen somebody at this age with this bad of a fall
Sure.
even talking to me, right?
Yeah.
Dad was so happy. See, I told you I'm fine. Don't worry about me. He calls everybody and it's just talking to everybody. He said, hey, you know what? I'll be fine. Don't worry about it. And it was getting too late at nighttime. So you know what? I'm going to go to sleep. I'll talk to you tomorrow morning. Puts his phone down, goes to sleep, and never wakes up again.
Hmm. Wow.
And I tell the story for one reason is that if you're in the age group of 80 to 89, are you still living your life or are you just barely waiting for you to die? If you're waiting to die, please don't.
Yeah.
Do something about it today because your body's resilient. It can change, it can improve, it can get better.
He has the minds. He had the mindset.
The
That's
mindset too.
that's the key. The body will do what the mind drives it to do, right?
Yes,
It's if you mentally check out, everything else checks out.
checks out.
Yeah.
But by giving this hope, hope is such a powerful tool. If they see somebody else doing it, It's like the guy that ran the 4 minute mile the very first time.
Yeah.
Oh, it can be done. But once, as soon as you did it, guess what? Literally tens or 20 of people did this very next year.
And
It was,
not to give it full credit, but partial credit. This entire time before, unfortunately, again, sorry, he passed. Uh, he was still supplementing, right?
yes,
Yeah.
10 years in a row, 10, 12 years in a row. That's the only thing I changed. And by the way, right before he went to India, he went to a physical checkup for his cardiologist because he had a stent put 12 years ago and has no changes been done. No
Hmm.
medications whatsoever, no blood thinners, no statin drugs,
Right.
no medication whatsoever. So he's scared that, you know what? They all say that by 6 or 7 years later, you have to redo it again. It's only been 12 years. And so he said, let me just go for a checkup. Let's do a stress test. This stress test. Doctor goes, why are you wasting my time? Just go.
Yeah.
Right? It was perfect. Yeah, just 6 minutes stress test was just blown out of the park, done. I said, just go enjoy your life. And whatever you do, tell your son to give me the same products too. I can't believe what you're doing right now, right? And so he,
That's a good testimonial, right? I
yeah.
mean, yeah.
And so, by the way, all the cardiologists, he had like 2 or 3 cardiologists. They're all my customers of mine right now.
Yeah.
So,
It's my frustration with my own father. He's well, my mother and him are did not live the healthiest. We grew up on the farm together, so it's like
uh
when I was a kid, they looked more like me. Now they're all overweight. My dad's been a type 2 diabetic. We now know that type 2 diabetes can be cured. It can be reversed depending on your choices and all the other things that have to be done, but it can be cured.
yes,
I've seen the cases. Um, with the right choices, with the right influence. But it's frustrating when you see like your father lived way more of a life than what my parents are living right now. Like my mom's knees are shot because I love her, but she's overweight. My dad has lost a lot of weight, so he has been paying attention. I've got him down to just one diabetic medicine now instead of three. Although I told him to get a second and third opinion last year because they're they told me that he had to go on a statin. I'm like, you don't have any heart problems. Well, he says because I'm a type 2 diabetic and now that I'm 75 that that's on their recommendation. I'm like, well then tell him to piss off. No joke.
that's exact.
I was like, I don't care if it's on your checklist. There
Yeah,
is no justification.
yeah,
And the side effects you can get from a statin for not quote unquote needing it is not worth it.
yeah.
Why? No. I mean, my God, it's stuff like this
I,
drives me nuts. So I'm constantly in my free time, like researching stuff for them, hoping that they would consider doing something that I might suggest, things in there. Again, they're adults. They're going to do what they want to do. I don't want them mentally checking out. I want them to still have hope. I want them to I don't know. Maybe they could do what I do. I don't know if they'll ever get to where I'm at. But if I
well,
could help them live a better life in their final years, that's one of my personal passions. So
I hope they can listen to this part of the podcast that you are recording for your dad and mom. So just
yeah,
look at it that way, that you're doing this for your mom and dad.
yeah,
If they can just listen to this part of the podcast, and even if it sparks a little hope, all your work that you've done for God knows how many years on this podcasting will be worth it.
yeah. I mean, it's only
Now,
been next year. It'll be 10 years podcasting.
yeah, so
So,
that's like
but
you're a newbie at this thing then, I guess.
but I was like, it's in the beginning. I've always like it became a personal passion for myself. I was like, oh, dude, I get to geek out with all these intelligent people from all over the world. Why not? I just did it for a hobby. That's why to this day I've never taken an advertiser. I don't. I make enough money with what I do in my professional space. I wanted to keep my podcast pure and clean,
Sure.
and there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. I mean, people do advertisers, and you got to pay your bills. Podcasting, you don't have to pay to play. I mean, I pay to run this show, but then I wrote my own book, like you've done. I've started a charity with the book, so you start finding, like you've done, like these ways to create legacy and
Yes.
to create something that could become either a lasting passion or something to pass on, or if nothing else, even though I've geeked out with people like yourself and I've learned a lot, other people are learning with us. And that's
Yes.
what I love about podcasting is like, it's free content. Like just go download an episode and listen. And if you
Listen.
don't like it, go find a different show, go find a different expert, find what's going to work for you. And don't just sit back and accept where you're at in life.
True.
It's
That
a
is true.
mindset thing.
It is.
You just got to keep putting in enough reps, like going to the gym, but putting in those mental reps to get to that resilience. And it's like, oh, I can change my life. I can change my direction. I can change my health. I can change. All right, let's go. Right. Your father put in enough reps in his life, and then you helped him get a second or third wind on health. And it's like, oh, I'm going to do whatever I want to do.
And that's my hope, that if I was able to help my dad in such a profound way, there are literally millions of people out there in the same situation that they have lost hope.
Yeah.
And I want to give them hope.
But when it finally clicked, it had to feel pretty good, right? Like, wait a minute.
Oh,
Like, the only thing I did
it,
was I gave him the glutathione, and
well, the thing
I
is,
mean, and other things he was doing, but it's like,
that's the only thing that was
Was I a
different.
contributing factor? I mean, oh my God, you know?
That was the only thing that was different. That was the only thing that was different was the glutathione, because everything else he had some testosterone replacement therapy and
Yeah.
vitamins and all those things was done ahead of time for years before that. And the only thing would change was just this.
Hmm.
And And yeah, and after that, I made it a point that I talk to every customers, every patients. They email us, my company, it'll come to me directly, and I will pick up a phone and talk to them if I have to,
Yeah.
just to hear the story. And I mean, I get people calling from Australia and Europe and Asia and everywhere, right?
Yeah.
They'll they use those WhatsApp. Say, yeah, I'm on WhatsApp too. So
I
don't we
will
just
say the WhatsApp thing is handy for
it's
international.
handy.
My
Good.
nephew just got shipped to Japan with the Air Force, so he's starting his career in the Air Force down
Yeah.
in Okinawa. And I'm like, hey man, let's stay in touch.
WhatsApp it is, right? And so I've done all those things because the thing is what I really want to see is how people's lives are changing,
Hmm.
because that's the fuel I need to survive today. I don't need any money. I need people's satisfaction that, hey, I've changed people's lives, and I want to change 1 million+ lives.
That's a good
That's my
goal.
goal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, going back to the earlier in the show, it's okay. Mitochondria, power plants, energy, ATP, glutathione. It's all tied together.
I'll
So
tell you.
if you're impacting every cell in your body to heal and perform better, isn't it the most powerful quote unquote mito slash biohack ever
It
at the
is.
most
It is.
at the most simplistic level?
It is. It is. And the thing is, when I first wrote the book out, the word revolution did not come into my mind until we were doing some brainstorming, and the aha moment came in when they said, "Oh my God, you can literally save 8 billion people on this planet.
Yeah.
This is nothing short of a revolution." And that's when the word came out, the Glutathione Revolution, the name of the book. And of course, the publisher loved the title immediately, because it is. And if you talk to some of the doctors I work with, and they see my work that I've done, and what they say is, if you say it's true, the word revolution is an understatement. I said, then what are the words after revolution? I said, there's nothing out there, but the amount of the work that you are doing right now is the revolution is the word itself is an understatement to the work you're doing. So
Sure.
that made me very proud as well.
I love it. Yeah. I think it's great. As a sales and marketing guy, it works for me. Revolution is a very powerful word depending on who's reading it, who's embracing it, how it's
Yes,
connecting with them in their life. I mean, again, a lot of people, a lot of citizens in this world don't know what glutathione is
they
yet.
don't.
Yet. So
So
uh
I'll tell you it's one story about last year. We were invited to go to the Grammys, and we were asked to be at the Grammys, and basically give out the book and products or whatever you want to do for all the people that won the awards, right?
that's something I would not expect
Yeah, and it's
at
the
the
thing.
Grammys.
The reason is because at the Grammys they have never ever invited anybody for health and wellness. It's always shoes people, jewelry people, clothing
Dresses,
people,
suits, all the
dresses, and
things.
and
Yeah.
all the and people are sick and tired of that stuff, because
Really?
they can buy the stuff all day long. They don't need any
Yeah.
more stuff. What they're craving for is health and wellness.
Yeah.
And I was the most popular guy that day. It was
I was
just
gonna say,
amazing.
especially anti-aging, which is a key,
Yes.
result, which that's big in Hollywood. I mean,
And that was I was so happy about it. They invited me again this year. I did not go this year, thank God. But the thing is, this year was canceled anyways because of the fires.
yep.
Uh, the pre-show, everything was canceled. Only the main show was there, but the pre-show was canceled. So they didn't invite me again this year. But I did say no before the fires as well,
Yeah.
because I had just too many conflicts going on. But just let you know, it doesn't matter how smart you are. A lot of people still don't know what glutathione is, and that's because it's our fault as medical community. We need to educate the public about this product. So I'm glad that you are doing it, Scott. I hope that your listener listens to you and share this particular recording with 10 other people that they've
That is
never
the
never
goal.
they've never listened to you. I hope for that one because they need to help you grow your audience as well, because what you're doing is really bringing out the best of me, and I want them to help you grow your audience as well.
Well, and that's why I want guest co-hosts and not interviews, because I want you to be your real self. I want us to actually connect. And yes, a little bit of my side stories or family might come into the show, because let's keep it real. I mean, people need to have a real world connection. Um, I know you're highly connected, and then sometimes that scares people because they're like, oh, I can never reach somebody like that. They're
Yeah.
unreachable, or their product or their service or their consultation is unreachable. And it's like, no, 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 no. It's like when you find the right professionals, the right experts out there, because I've met them thanks to this show, they're just like you and me. And the real
Yes.
ones, they do care. They do want to talk to quote unquote little old me or little old you, or whatever that weird mindset you have, break through that barrier. And it's one of the biggest things I teach people in consulting is getting out of your own way and go after what you want and what you, I don't like to use the word deserve,
Yeah.
but you need, not
What
want,
you
need.
need.
Because health, that's why I said we're here to fuel your health, business, lifestyle. Health always comes first.
Yep.
If you're hacking and finding peak performance in your health, everything else is possible. Your business will
So
perform better. Your love life, your lifestyle choices, your vacations get better. Or, because you're more healthy, you're more fit, you're more active. Your pops, traveling,
yes.
after double knee replacements and then sitting there in a hospital bed, I cracked my skull wide open. I'm okay. I'm fine. Like mindset, man. I love it.
Mindset.
Oh,
Mindset. Yeah.
well, listen, Doc, I want to give you a proper buy off the air, but I want you to help close the show out. You kind of already did it, but I want you to sum it up. Over the years, I've asked people to leave final words in case they forget all the intelligence that we've already shared on the show, and we'll have a sum up in the show notes like we've always do on the website and all the note on YouTube and all the podcasting apps. But after I wrote my book, and since you're an author, you'll get this. I realized that while writing the book, I realized, what is the legacy that we're leaving behind on this planet? And you already kind of hinted at trying to help well over millions basically of people. And so I changed it, and I said, let my co-host close out the show. What's an all-encompassing message? What is the legacy? Like, how does it sum up for you at this stage in your life of success, this creation, building your own manufacturing facility, water, all the things? I'm like, what is it now? Like, how do you sum it all up?
So for me, this thing all sums up in few little sentences that I have created this thing not for my personal growth, is to help serve the mankind. I'm here to make sure that everybody has a hope, a chance to survive, chance to thrive, chance to live the full potential of their life. And my job is to give the essential building block, the most important molecule that our body needs. I want to make sure that nobody's ever deprived of that one. And I'm spending my time and resources to educate people, because in the marketplace there's so much noise that the people are kind of getting buried into this sea of information. And how do you find the right information that is true for you? And so I'm out there bustling and hustling and talking to anybody and everybody, and any doctor that they call so-called gurus of glutathione. I will talk to them head on, and explain to them my technology. And so far I have never failed a case. And knock on wood, I want to make sure that I don't get too cocky about that one. I want to be humble. I'm here to serve the human beings that are out there trying to help themselves feel better. And I'm not entertaining the big shots that have already made it. I want to serve the people that need the help. And so that's why I'm reachable. I'm available. Um, if you just contact my website, they will put you through me directly. If I'm really busy, I may be a day late to get to you, but I will get to every single buddy that's out there. I want to connect with everybody and I want to help everybody as much as possible.
Well said, sir. And I can tell you, I was already planning on telling you this at some point in the show. I will be trying your products because I am my own N1 experiment. And if my glutathione is inferior, I have to find and try the better stuff. And then if I'm enjoying it, then I'm, because I love my parents, they're going to benefit next, and so on and so forth. So, so we're going to talk more about that off the air. So, thank you for that final messaging. That was awesome, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Patel, crushing it. So go check out AURO, AuroWellness.com. We'll have everything linked in the show notes. Again, topical, easy, spray it on. I'm excited, and I'm going to have some fun with this. And definitely go check out the Glutathione Revolution on the Amazon influencer page in my book library, as all authors have ended up in. You can find it easily there. We'll have that linked as well. So again, ladies and gentlemen, remember, we're here to fuel your health, your business, and your lifestyle. Dr. Patel helped us do that today exponentially. And if you're considering the latest hack or the latest change in your lifestyle, go check it out. Try it out. I already use it now, and I have a feeling I'll be performing better than ever when I try his. So thanks for tuning in. Remember, you too could live the fuel, and we'll talk to you guys again soon.